Good evening, Knicks family. Welcome to another edition of the Queen's Court. The Knicks are currently 30-41, 12th in the Eastern Conference still, 5 games out of the play-in still. We had an opportunity, had we won at Utah and beat Atlanta on Tuesday, to move within 3. That didn't happen. So we are where we are. We'll talk about Randle imploding again. Of course, we'll talk about Fournier. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live on this channel. That includes the Queen's Court, the crossover, the controversy, Knicks and bruises, the NBA report, and of course, pregame, postgame, and the morning shoot around with Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel. I'm joined by Aaron, who has been with us before, and Gavin should be showing up in a bit. But I have an announcement to make. I'm starting a channel, believe it or not. Let me just pull this up while I talk about it. Yep, I'm starting a channel called Dope Soul Sports Talk. And the idea is to create content that is dope, of course. That word is a throwback to my youth. Those who are old enough to know recognize that word. Sim use it a lot. Also, content that is thoughtful, honest, real, similar to what we already do on MBK. I chose Ms. BK because I'm from Brooklyn. The Z instead of the S, just for a little twist, but you could still call me Steph. You could still call me Queen. It all works. This content will be in addition to what I'm doing here on MBK. So I'll still be doing the Queen's Court. I'll still be co-hosting the crossover with Tony Crow. I'll still be a panelist. I'll still be at the special events. But this gives me an opportunity to do even more than that. I'll be able to put out extended takes on the Knicks games and news, interviews, go live. I'll also be able to collaborate with other Knicks content creators, both at MBK and beyond. So it should be a lot of fun. It's going to operate similarly to how I operate in life. As long as it's fun and/or remains important, I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to take breaks, just like I do here at MBK, because balance is important. Basically, this channel is an extension of what I do here at MBK, and it wouldn't be possible without Simeon Russell, who's behind the scenes today, who, you know the story. When I asked to be a panelist, he agreed for me to come on the show. He then asked me to co-host the Queen's Court, and it's been good. He's been supportive. He's been helpful. And just getting an opportunity to work with him behind the scenes, you get an opportunity to see what it takes to run a channel, what it takes to maintain. And I'm looking forward to growing the MBK network as well as my channel. So I will still be here. The link is below. Please subscribe. Be patient. It's probably going to take me another week or 2 before I put out any content. I'll probably start with some post-game takes. As you know, I hardly do the post game on MBK because it's kind of late and I really have to prioritize my sleep. So I might start with doing post game takes, short takes, 5 minutes or so, and put them out the morning after. I'll see. Just be patient. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all your support, and I'm just looking forward to what we can build here at MBK and on my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. So enough of that. Let's get into what we are doing today. I'm joined by Aaron, and again, Galvin may be joining us later. If not, we can handle it. How are you? How have you been?
Very good, very good. Upset about our Knicks loss last night because, as usual, it was a fourth quarter fall apart. So I don't know why I'm very surprised, but I was at the Garden and I was screaming my head off as usual. And when we had our younger guys in, it looked like we were going to win. And once again, our unfortunate captain of the ship, senile Tom there, decided to make substitutions that made no sense. And then it was over in like a minute and a half, and it was all down the drain, and we never recovered after that. But I mean, there were almost 4 quarters of great basketball that I was watching.
Yeah.
So, and it's so disheartening once again to witness this collapse that I've been witnessing most of my adult life. But I mean,
Yeah.
this year's been terrible.
It has been. It has been. Well, let's get into it. Let me just briefly, run down the games really quick. The Knicks won against Portland 128-98. It had a 17-point lead in the third quarter. Portland got it down to 8 with 5 minutes left in the third, but the Knicks withstood this by getting stops, making shots. We had 31 points in the game. RJ played well, 31 points. Excuse me, we had 31 assists in the game. RJ played well, 31 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Randle was off, through 3 quarters, but still ended up with 24 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. IQ, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Really been playing well for us. Then Washington, another win. They're ahead of us in the standings in the 11th place, 11th seed. We beat them 100-97. Grimes was back, but then McBride was out of the rotation. The Knicks started the game with 6 turnovers, but they were up 15 points with under 4 minutes left in the game. The Wizards wouldn't go away. They cut it to 8 with under 3 minutes. Kuzma with 9 straight points, 25 seconds to go, up 1. Kuzma missed a three-pointer that we needed him to miss. RJ with the crucial rebound, he was fouled. He hit both of them. And we won by 3. It's a game of inches. Barrett hit those 2 free throws. Then he played great defense on Caldwell Pope to close it out. Randle, 18 points, 17 rebounds. Barrett, I think, did I get that right? Hold on. Barrett, 18.6 rebounds, 3 assists. Neither one of them shot well that game. Both Barrett and Randle shot 27.3%. And we're fortunate to win the game with that lack of efficiency. Evan with 5 3-pointers. He's closing in on John Stark's single season 3-point made record. And then on to Utah, which was a loss, 93-108. We led at the end of 1. We lost that lead early in the second quarter. The Knicks came in number 3 in rebounding. Utah came in number 4 in rebounding, and the Knicks were out-rebounded 37-49. The Knicks had 2 blocks. Utah had 11. And that's not to mention just Gobert, all of the shots that he altered as well. The Knicks were able to cut it to 4 with under 4 minutes to go. But Utah has what the Knicks don't, and that's somebody that can hit big shots in big moments, and that's what Donovan Mitchell did for them. Barrett, 24.7 rebounds, 3 assists. Fournier had 5 3-pointers, further closing in on the record. And Randle was just inefficient, and we'll talk about another meltdown, at the end of the game, no less. It's over. So anyway, before I get into specifics, you could talk a bit more about just this week and what you've noticed. The Knicks were 2-1. And anything this week that stood out for you?
Again, we were at the Portland game too, and it was amazing to us because we were just like, oh, not only are we going to win this game, but we're going to win this game like in awesome fashion. And then we created enough momentum to beat a team like the Wizards that are ahead of us. You know what I'm saying? But then that's the story of our season, right? So we can get 2, but every time we get to 3, it's like we cannot finish that final hump. And especially now when we need it so bad. Like, again, listen, whether we're lottery bound or not, I still want to collect as many wins as I can, because in my mind, the team going forward is Toppin, Quick, Barrett, Mitch, if he's here or not, Sims, all the young guys. I want the young guys to win together, even if it doesn't matter to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because that builds their confidence. That creates the chemistry and the glue that I need to be kept together. So whether or not Fournier and Randle are going to be here going forward, I really don't care, because, yes, it's great that Frenchie's coming down on that record. Fantastic. Awesome. But is he going to be here a year or two? Probably not. Is Randle going to make it through this year by the skin of his teeth? Okay, but do I want him here next year? No, because all I want is the chemistry to build with wins, and we can't do that with people on the team that are just, I don't know what they're doing. Like, there's just certain people, I don't want another coach, but I don't think Tibbs can handle what's going on. I can't see us winning most of the game last night, and then in the final 5 minutes, it all going to crap again because of his poor decision making. I do not know what happened. I'm telling you, the only thing I can relate it to is Space Jam. He has lost his basketball skills as a coach because he doesn't seem to know what's going on. And when we think about how our season is going, when we lost all these assistant coaches that were holding our glue together, and now more are leaving, and it does not give me much hope right now. I don't know. I'm just.
I hear you.
Terrified.
I think what stood out for me. Let me just add Gavin in. Oh, is he ready? Oh, he might not be ready. What stood out for me is that the Knicks are still fighting. They were 2-1 this week. So, when the losses are piling up, it's kind of hard, for some teams to give effort when it looks like chances are slim that you're going to make the playoffs. And I think that's one thing about these Knicks. They come out, they play to win, whether they do it or not. So I think that stuck out for me. Quickly's play, quickly get into the line, 9.3 times a game, which is just signifying that he's being more aggressive. He's getting in the key. He's putting pressure on the defense. That stood out for me. And RJ Barrett, still doing RJ Barrett thing, still growing. He's not very efficient right now, but I think that's going to come. I think that's definitely going to come, and we're going to need that, for him to come. And then, Randle with his, breakdown or whatever you want to call it, when the game is over. Again, not being able to control his emotions. He played well early in the week, but against Utah, he did not play well. He was inefficient, and he's putting up shots like he's 10 for 10. Yeah, he's putting up shots like he's 10 for 10. And not just that, they're passing it to him. It reminded me of the 1994 finals, game 6 with Starks. Missing everything. And he's coming off the screen. They still passing him the ball like he didn't hit his last 3. So that's what Randle, that's what Randle looked like to me.
It was horrible.
Yeah, definitely. Gavin, how are you? And we was just talking about, we haven't gotten into specifics about this week, just in general, anything about this week that stood out for you.
Something that we'll talk about later is I liked IQ's play this week. Was the biggest thing. And then I was in the Garden. Came up to New York actually, so I've been here for this whole home stretch.
I wish I'll be in the Garden for.
Yeah, I hit you. Like I said, somebody canceled on the last minute. I was like, let me see if Steph is available, and let me see if she wants to use the extra ticket. But no, it's I'll say the other thing, like with Randle, is things look worse in the Garden. Like when you get to see it in person, things look worse. But I like the fact that just RJ staying aggressive, even though he hasn't been efficient, especially last night, it's not efficient. He still finds a way to get it done. And he doesn't let his inefficiencies, stop him from anything. But I just like the fact that they're still fighting, even though we're basically almost out of contention for that play-in spot, they're still getting after it, so still commendable. But, last night, close game, just figuring out still how to get over that hump consistently.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Anything else specifically about this week? Aaron, you
liked.
Oh, listen, you ain't got to talk to me.
Oh, sorry.
Listen, you already know. Again, what specifically continues to stand out for me is my Lord and Savior, RJ Barrett, who continues to make these little huddles by himself with all his crew, just like he continues just to keep the glue on his unit together. He doesn't care what anybody else is doing. He just brings quick. He brings Toppin. He brings Sims, he brings Mitch, he just brings his guys together. He's like, this is our team now. I don't know what's going on, but he is just keeping them together and keeping my glue. Like he is just such a positive, motivating force to the other guys. So like you said, even though he's been inefficient, I don't care because he does so many other things that aren't about his stats. And the way that through all the terrible things that went on this season, he went and he was at every post game, wasn't he? And he got on that mic and he was not afraid. And this is the bravest 21. That remember when I was on last time and I said he is him? He is him. Am I right?
Yeah. But when he's gathering them together though, do you think he's saying this is our team now or he's just
No, I think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying, listen, whatever is going to go on for the rest of this year, we're going to be here. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that we're going to be here. So when we are on the floor, we're going to keep it together and we're going to make us look good. And we can't worry about what other people are doing. Because that's what I would
yeah, but you know what? We're a team regardless.
Yeah,
like I know this.
How many times has Randle showed? How many times?
I'm not saying we're a perfect team. And I'm not saying everybody on the team is perfect. But I'm saying is we're a team. And like as a fan base, we do approach this as vets versus young. Yep. We approach it as and similar that he's pulling them together and it's our team. I think RJ wants the team to win and to be successful. I think he pulls them together because he feels more comfortable with them because they're younger and they listen. And he may not be that comfortable doing that with the vets. Remember, he plays on both teams. So he may not feel comfortable doing it. I don't think he's creating division because that's kind of right, creating division to say this is our team right now. Forget about the other ones.
No, I didn't mean it like he was creating division. I mean like he's continuing that no matter what other things are going on within the team, he's still trying to tell these kids, keep it ready. Let's get together. I may have used the wrong terminology.
Yeah, that I agree.
I don't think he's creating division at all. Listen, this man continues to pass the ball to Randle when nobody should be passing to Randle. Continues.
Yeah.
And talks glowingly about him continually when everybody knows he's acting wild.
Right. But I mean, listen, they see them in the locker room as well. Right. We only get in these pieces of them in the heat of the battle. He knows Randle, off the court. He sits with Randle.
The meltdown happened after the game was over.
I understand. But the point I'm saying, he's going to continue to talk glowingly about it because he knows him as a person. He sits with him on the plane every day. They sit next to each other. So he knows him as a person. Okay. For us, we just see him imploding for no apparent reason. But I'm sure they have, they have a relationship. Gavin, anything else about RJ or even, Randle and Randle's play this week? And what do you make of the incident after the Utah game? Was that a big deal for you or not really?
I think it's just something that's continued to go on. It's going on the whole year, so I expect nothing less. I mean, kind of the thing that like what happened with Cam Johnson is what is it that these people are saying to him that is making him go off like this? Like I just saw Rudy Gobert kind of tap him, whatever he said to him, but it's like, is it that insulting that you're going off on people? You're shoving your teammates out of the way. You're shoving your assistant coaches. Like, I don't know what it is, but you can see that his confidence is shot. The thing that I like about RJ is he is embracing the attitude and just the environment of MSG, what comes with New York. And to see that from a 21-year-old in his third year is something that's very impressive. I know people, like some of the fans were talking to me, talking about Ja Morant, and I said that the difference is Ja Morant's doing it in Memphis in a small market where there's no expectations of you. There's no pressure to win. If you lose, nobody's gonna blink an eye. But even like us, as bad as the year we're still headlines on ESPN. People are still talking about us, and RJ just continues to go with it. The fact that, like I said, Randle in his 8th year, going into his 8th year, it just doesn't seem to click for him mentally. And like I said, I just think that he's somebody who's not built for New York and MSG. The fact that we'll crucify you today and then raise you up tomorrow and then go back to crucifying you. And I just don't think that it's something that he can deal with. But I mean, I'm over Randall. I just don't think that it's good for the team. Like I said, seeing the antics, everybody gets subbed out. They all walk down the bench and dap everybody up. Randall gets subbed out. He goes and sits straight to the end of the bench, doesn't dap anybody up. During huddles, he's over there talking to his wife and kid. I'm like, bro, get over to the huddle. Like, what are we doing? And it's just aesthetically, it's just not a good look for the optics. But I think this, RJ is kind of embracing the role of, this is my team, if you want to think of it in that sense, and he's saying, although that I'm only in my third year, I'm still going to lead these young guys, and mentor them as much as possible. Cause I mean, you're not really getting it from Randall, at least from what we see.
Right.
So.
No doubt. The only thing I'll say about whether even RJ is built for this, we also have to keep in mind that RJ hasn't dealt with any heat just yet, right? He's not the number one on this team yet. Randall is still here. If Randall gets traded in the offseason and then RJ becomes the number one person on this team that the opposing teams are game planning for, then we're going to really get to see how he's built. So
I think part of that, two things. I think one is people realize and understand that RJ's in his third year, and Randall, you're in your seventh. So you're doing things. You're a about to be 8-year vet in the league, still acting like it's your third year. So people expect more of Randall because he's been in the league much longer. And I think a bigger thing to this year is the difference why I say, to me, like RJ can't do any wrong to the fan base, like the fan base doesn't do any wrong, is because even through his slumps, his inefficient nights, he's still going to show up and put it all out on the court. Whereas you have Randall, who he's not playing well. He is lethargic. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. So I think the thing for New Yorkers and Knicks fans is it's not so much your performance, but your mentality and how it looks on the court. And we can visually see that, like, bro, you look like you don't want to be here. And that's why I think that the fan base is kind of giving up on him, because they're like, yo, you don't want to be here. Like I said, you're in your 7th year and you have a 21-year-old who's taking on, although it may not be the pressure of being a number one, taking on and embracing the pressure that comes with being a New York Knick at least, and still playing in the Garden and performing even in a losing season.
I agree with you. Everything you're saying, I agree with you. Everything you and Aaron is saying about Randall, I agree with. But we don't know what RJ is going to be able to handle until he's there. Now, we could say from what I see, I think if the fan base turns on him, he's gonna be fine. Because you got to think about this fan base. They'll turn no matter what. Look at Carmelo Anthony. They turned on Carmelo Anthony and he was still playing well. It's not always, hold on. It's not always about whether you're playing well or not for the fan base to turn on you. For whatever reason, they turn for different reasons. Can RJ handle that? We don't know. But I think we can say from what we see, he might be able to handle it. But how do we really know? Aaron?
Think about all the reasons that Melo got turned on, okay? It wasn't only, that Melo played successfully, but Melo did other things. No matter what anybody wants to say, he did not like when Lynn was doing well when he was here. He didn't like it, and it was kind of what's going on with Randall and RJ, and it's the same thing. Because it was his team, there was a younger star who had momentum, who had the fans, and his ego couldn't take it. So then he started acting like Big Willie, and this is the same thing that.
But is that the only time they turned on him?
Oh no, they turned on him, but it's not
for multiple. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. With this fan base, it's going to happen.
I still love Melo. I don't listen. Melo stuck around, and he put up with a lot of shit. I mean, a lot of stuff. Right. From New Yorkers, a lot more than a lot of other players that have played here have.
Right,
I'm not a Melo fan. And what's going on to him in LA is a nightmare. Him and Westbrook, horrible. Right. They were successful in many other teams, and what's going on there is terrible. But what's happening here is kind of the same exact thing. Like, I think what happened is, I agree with his point that, when he was doing so well last year, we raised him up so high that he thought he was untouchable. And then he started this season and he was fine in November. The November Knicks were great, just so we all know. Our November Knicks were fantastic.
Mhm.
And then we pulled into December and it was like, and it started to fall. And he thought he was going to have that same fan train. But what he forgot about New York is listen, again, we don't care if you lose, but play hard. Don't
No,
be lazy.
it's not. It's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not just. It's about different things at different times. For Randle, it's about him not playing hard. For Melo, it was about something else. The bottom line is, this is just our fan base. At some point, for
Toxic.
some reason,
No, we want
we
more.
turn.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we turn. There's no consistency to why we turn. So all I'm saying is, RJ's time will come. Because it just does on the Knicks, and I think he'll handle it well.
I think
he'll handle it well.
I think he'll be fine.
But I'm just saying, it's just easy to extrapolate into of what RJ is gonna be. We're not gonna know until he's there. However, if you ask me to put money on it, I put money on the fact that I think he would.
Me too.
I think he would handle it.
Me too.
Better. Nothing but Nick. Shout out to Sam behind the scenes. Read the super chat, and also the phones are open. So if you want to call in, please call in. Nothing but Knicks. I've already seen people turn on RJ, and I can't even understand why. I mean, at this point, like I do remember when he wasn't playing well, people were still enamored with RJ, and he was playing terribly. And I called it how I saw it. But now that he's playing well, there's still fans that's turning on him. Wow.
And I think it's also too, like somebody they would sit next to me, like there's just people who you have your favorites. Like most people who are a fan of Randle are not a fan of RJ. Most people who are fans of RJ are not a fan of Randle. So it's like the viewpoint is biased anyway. Even if RJ was to lead the league and be an all-star, if you side with Randle, you're always going to find something wrong with RJ. And I think that's one of the things is Knicks fans is they have too much favoritism to where they don't even look at the team as a whole. So.
It works both ways too. When RJ was playing terribly, people were still hyping him up, and he was playing terribly. It works both ways. But I will say, for me, I'm a fan of winning. I'm a fan of winning, and I'm a fan of players that produce. It's hard for me, and this is just me, to get excited over young players who are still coming into their own. It was hard for me to get excited about RJ until this extended stretch. And I'm like, okay, now we're talking about something. It's hard for me to get excited over Cam Reddish because of flashes. I don't really get excited until a player starts becoming consistent. That's just me.
How is anybody going to be consistent with this coach?
I don't. What do you mean?
I think that he doesn't give what his favorite thing to say in post games is, minutes are earned. Minutes are earned. Every single time one of these young players has, like last night, if you were there, you saw it. Obi did great. He pulled him. Quickly does great. He pulls him. I don't understand how you have to let these kids have these minutes to be able to produce in more than, little tiny clips, and then pull them every time they make one mistake or they do one thing wrong. I'm never going to see their full potential unless they're playing every day the same amount of minutes, or at least, it's just not fair. Like everybody's like, oh, trade Obi. He's never going to get his minutes. I don't want to trade Obi. I want to get rid of Randle because Randle doesn't want to be here. I only want people that want to be here, and I want people that want to work hard. And these kids to me look like they want to work hard, but he's just not giving them minutes.
So to that point, the thing that Tibbs is still going to do is he's still rocking with people who have at least proven themselves a little bit in the league. Like Obi is still a second-year player who still is not a huge offensive threat without a point guard. The one thing that I can't deny about Randle, minus his attitude or whatever, he's still a 20-10 player. Like I can't take that away from him. Even inefficient nights, he's still going to give you, 20-10. Like last night, he still gave you, I think, 11-12. Like Obi's not going to do that. So I just think that's more of Tibbs' thing. Is he's like, at least with Randle,
20 minutes. I can't see Obi for 20 minutes. I don't know what he can do.
But you're not going to see
Obi. But we can.
Go ahead, Gavin.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're not going to see Obi for 20 minutes. And I think it's more so because Obi needs to play with a point guard. And I just don't think that he right now has the offensive repertoire, no matter if he's gotten the opportunity or not. And like we say, we just see from what we see on the court, but Tibbs sees them in practice. So it's not just the fact that he doesn't like Obi. There's got to be other things, because that's just how coaching works. It's not just, oh, he dropped 30 last night, so now I'm going to go out here and play him the whole game. Like, there's outliers to these things. So
Okay, so but after this meltdown of Randall's, he deserves to get back on the court after a meltdown like that, after pushing a ref?
Yeah.
I'm not the coach,
mean,
but I can't refute. I'm not the coach, but I also can't refute the fact that he's a 20 and 10 player. And like, I know that Obi's not going to go out there and give me 20 and 10.
First of all, anybody else pushes a ref, what happens?
But he might get suspended.
I hope he does.
Yeah,
I hope he deserves it.
Listen, he very well may get suspended. The only thing I just want us as a fan base is just to take into account how we see things, and what we think should be done from a coaching perspective is just one perspective. We're not behind the scenes. We're not coaches. We're not NBA coaches. We don't know all of the factors that go into a decision that a coach makes, right? So I look at Tibbs sometimes, and like I said before, that's not something I would do. I don't quite understand that, but I'm not dealing with all of the factors that go into making that decision. I will say that, in a little bit of coaching that I've done collegiately, I've had players who had very good games, but I'm not cutting into my starters' minutes the next game because this person had a good game. Because the evolution of young players is that they're going to be up and down. That's just how it goes. You get your time a little bit at a time. Then you go into the off season, you work harder, you come back, you get a little more minutes. That's how it goes. Obi is a second-year player. He's just not better than Randle right now, even with Randle's attitude and all of this other stuff that's going on. He just can't give you what Randle can give you right now. And a coach, he's trying to win a game, and he believes, we may not agree. Some of these lineups I don't agree with as well.
Okay.
He believes that particular lineup is going to give him the best chance of winning.
Okay, but
I don't always agree.
I'm saying, even though I am on the standpoint that there's something going on with Randall that we don't know, but I'm just saying, like in any other job in the world, any other job, professional sports is obviously different. But on most jobs, if you have one person on your team that is disrupting the other members of your team and not making you guys successful, maybe he had no problem benching Kemba when he wasn't doing the right thing, right? No problem with that. But meanwhile, now we have your superstar. No matter how many points and rebounds he gets a game, we're still not winning. So his stats don't mean crap to me, but what does mean crap to me is his body language around the other players on the team, especially the younger players, and the behavior at the end of the game on embarrassing us again. Like,
no, I understand what you're saying, but I will tell you, even in corporate America, they put up with a lot for the person that's bringing in the money. That happens even in corporate America.
I'm not going
they
to
do
games for Randall. I have not bought a Randall jersey. I promise you that. I have an Obi. I have a Quickly. I just got my Quickly yesterday. I have a top in. Listen, I have, my old school, my Mellow, and I promise you, and I'll buy other Knicks merchandise, but I'm not supporting a player that is not supporting the other guys. And it just doesn't feel like he is.
Right. And let's keep in mind that everybody's points is not leading to winning, not just Randall's. I mean, we're losing as a team.
But he's the big guy that everybody wants to say he's the superstar that everybody's playing for, right? Other teams come in planning for him, right? So if you're planning for him, then he's supposed to set a better example, and that's not what he's doing right now.
Well, setting a better example is one thing, and I think, he should do that, but he needs to play better. That's it. You need to play better. You need to be more efficient. You need to show up every single game, and you need to put up the points in an efficient manner.
And not chuck all day long.
Right. Not take bad shots. Definitely. But anyway, let's get into our main topic, which is Fournier. I'm trying to stay to a time limit. I'm just not doing well. I'm just not doing well. All right. Let's talk about Fournier. Fournier gets a lot of heat amongst this fan base, and I'm going to be interested in Aaron and Gavin's thoughts on Fournier this season and whether we should. Oh, let me read the super chat. Who's Mark fan? Hey, Ash. I guess you're talking about me, Stephanie. Can you please try to get Ashley Nicole Moss on your show? It'll take Queen's Court to the next level. Queen's Court is already on another level.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I will look into it. No promises, but I will look into it. I appreciate the super chat and all your support. So Fournier this season with the Knicks, he's averaging 29.7 points. He's averaging 29.7 minutes per game. 14.4 points, 2.7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, shooting 42.5% from the field, 70% from the free throw line. He's attempting 7.7 three-pointers a game. So he's pretty much been relegated to just being a three-point shooter. I've seen him, he can do more than that. And he's making 3.1 three-pointers a game. He's shooting almost 40% from the three-point line. Boston, it was only 16 games. He was averaging 13 points, but he spent 7 seasons with Orlando. And he's basically averaging 2 less points and 1.5 less minutes. And his free throws is down from 81.2 and his field goal percentage from 45.2. My take on Fournier is I think he's done what we brought him in to do. We brought him in for scoring. We brought him in for more shooting. And he's done that for us. He's the third option behind Randle and the emergent RJ. So he's probably not getting the shot attempts that he got in Orlando. They're not playing through him. He's playing off the ball, even though he has the ability to bring the ball up the court. He has the ability to initiate pick and rolls. He has the ability to score on all 3 levels. That's not his role on this team. And it's not uncommon. Think about Bosh when he went with Miami. His whole game changed because he was the third option behind LeBron and Dwayne Wade. So I like the way he's playing. The Knicks are 13th in defense right now. If you think without those Kemba Walker times when Kemba Walker was in the lineup and the defense wasn't that strong, the times, just getting to know each other, we could probably be in the top 10 defensively. Right now we're 13th in defensive rating after all we've been through. So I'm okay with him coming back again. I think he's doing what we brought him in to do. But I'm interested in Aaron's point of view. Let's start with Gavin, and then we're going to go to Aaron.
I will say I've become much more high on Fournier over the last month, over these last 10 to 15 games. The thing with Fournier, it kind of reminds me of something that Bullock used to do. Like last night, he had 17. He had 13 in the first quarter and 4 in the second, and then didn't score the rest of the game. And that's sometimes the only thing for me. I'm like, I appreciate the 17 points, but giving me nothing the rest of the game is a little disheartening. But then, if you put it in perspective of he's a career, 16, 13, and 14, points, he's doing what he's supposed to do. I would just like there to be some sort of productivity in the second half of the ball game. Because 15 in the first is good. Mm-hmm. But when I think about it in terms that you're not giving me anything the rest of the game, to me, that's a little disheartening. But I will say his defense has improved a lot, especially like the last month. I know this home stretch, he's probably had like 2 steals every game so far. It looks like he's, I don't want to say giving more effort, but it looks like he's moving at a faster pace. Running the floor, it looks like he's starting to pick it up a little bit. It came at the end of this, at the wrong time, but it's a little promising. But I would say I'll take him back as long as his defensive effort continues to pick up. I don't mind bringing Fournier back. I think it's just one of those things, shooters are going to shoot. He's going to shoot his way into, he's going to shoot his way in, shoot his way out. And I don't have a problem with that. The only thing I don't want is, I don't want a shooter who's going to be scared to shoot the ball. And he's not afraid to let it go. And I think he has a lot of confidence in his shot. I don't think he's scared to take, big shots when it counts. Some games this year, he's taken some big shots to tie up the game or to stop a momentum and things like that. So I've become high on Fournier. I do think that there are some times when he has the ball in his hand that he can go a little more one-on-one with his man. And I think that he started to do that a lot more towards the end of this season. We're starting to see it a lot more. So he's definitely changed my mind. Because at the beginning of the year, I was ready to let him go. Like I said, you're having zeros and giving up 20 on the defensive side. But I like the role that he's in, and I think that, as Knicks fans, we just have to realize that he's not going to go out there and give us 30 every night. And like I said, for me, like I said, take his 17. If it all comes in the first quarter, we take it. And that's just what it is. But I like Fournier, and I think he's going to find his way in this offense and with this team.
Aaron?
Okay. Well, I like Frenchie, but I want
Fournier. We try to
renegotiate.
be
Oh, well, that's what
copacetic on this channel.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, Fournier, but I want his contract renegotiated because we got sold a bad deal. He came here, he had a couple good games, and then he was flat. And then he has a couple games, and then he's flat. He's another one that doesn't show up every night. And I don't need a guy that wants to. Again, his defense has picked up in the last month. Okay, he does have some steals. He is playing harder. He is doing more on the court. But again, it's like everybody was asleep for the first half of the season, and they only woke up after the All-Star break. But they still got their money. So that's my problem. So when you come here, I'm like you got to earn it. So you got your pay, you got your check. So you got to come out on the court and you got to earn it every time. And I don't really think that he's worth whatever he's worth. And I don't care if he comes back. I'm sorry, I just don't.
He's making $17 million. Do we think that's a lot of money in this?
For him, yes, it is. Yes,
in this NBA?
So
yeah, no.
But I mean, if you put it in comparison to where Mitch is wanting 14, 15. No, I'm just saying.
And I'm not
Mitch
15 either. I don't
No, but that's what I'm saying. But you have people out here who are saying, I have no problem giving Mitch 15.
Not me.
Not just you. No, not you. But I'm saying this, in general, people saying, I have no problem giving Mitch 15. But then just for your example, like you said, Fournier's not worth 17, but Fournier's giving me more, at least productivity and points on the offensive side than Mitch. So that's just an example. But like Fournier said after I think the Blazers game, he was like, I've just become a lot more comfortable. He's like, I know my spots a lot better now. And he's like, and the other guys are starting to know my spots a lot better now too. So he's like, yeah, it took a long time to build, to get here. But he's like, I finally feel comfortable. And he's like, I know when to pick my shots and guys are starting to look for me in my spots. And he was like, if I'm not in my spot, I'm not going to take the shot because that's not where I feel like I have a high percentage of a shot from. So I can respect somebody who knows how to pick and choose his shots. Even if we want more from him, I would rather him pick his spots on the floor than jack up shots from somewhere he's not comfortable with.
Absolutely. But all I'm saying is that if he wants his money, which he already got, he needs to come to play every day and make better shot selections, which he is now. I get it. And keep up his defensive. If these next 10, 11 games that we have left, right? We have 11 games left to 10 or 11 games that we have left. If you want me to repay you your money and not ship you out of here, then you have to show me that you're worth it, especially now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I think he has.
No.
I think he has. I mean, listen, every player is, first of all, he's the third option at this point. He plays off of players, right? So there are multiple times when Randle does give him the ball, but there's multiple times when he doesn't. So he's not somebody that has the ball in his hand like an RJ and a Randle. He's somebody that's basically standing on the side, waiting to get a pass, right? If he's in the flow of the game and they're passing him the ball a lot, he can get into a flow. But sometimes they stop passing him the ball because both of those guys want to do their thing, So I don't have a problem with Fournier. If you look at his numbers down the line, he's pretty consistent. He'll have a dud of a game, but so does Randle. So does everybody on this team. But if you look at him statistically down the line, he's pretty consistent in his scoring. And you have to ask the question, when he disappears, is that him disappearing? Or is that them going away from him and not getting him the ball? That's what we have to ask. He had 11 points in the first quarter against Utah. Then he didn't have, I think he had maybe 6 more points the rest of the way.
Thank you.
But hold on. The question is, though, did he have the ball in his hands? Because when I watched that Utah game, the first thing I kept saying was, why does Randle, who's not shooting well, keep jacking up shots? Why does Randle, who's not shooting well, not when he brings the ball up, there's people on both sides who are hot because they hit a shot or open.
The ball up. Why?
Well, that's a whole other. Well, but that's his role on this team, whether we like it or not. So the point I'm trying to make with Fournier is he's going to go in and out depending on whether or not he's getting the ball.
Okay, I just want Knicks players that are actually more in than out. That's it.
But what I'm trying to say,
17 million.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is it's not under his control because he doesn't handle the ball. So if they're not passing him the ball, what should he do? Run, get it, snatch it from them and score? Like what should he do?
He's a great shooter when he has the ball, right? So if you know that you have an egomaniac, like I said, this all goes back to Randle being, like I said, I feel bad because I was Team Randle last year, and I hate saying this about a guy. He's not in a place where he looks like he want to be here, and he spreads his yuck all over the place, and it makes everybody else uncomfortable, and therefore it changes the way our game is being played. That's all I'm saying. For everyone. And I think that it's going to have a negative effect on this team for a long time. I hope he gets the help he needs. I wish he could turn it around and go back to the guy that we knew last year. But remember, he sucked the first year he was here too. So I don't even know. And somebody said a valid point today. Remember, 2 other teams gave up on him because maybe they saw a problem we missed,
Possible.
And it affects everything else. That's all.
But back to Fournier, shout out to James Glass. He's making $17 million and is on track to have our best 3-point shooting season in franchise history. Yeah, I mean, I think he's about 9 off, I want to say, from breaking John Stark's record for the most three-pointers made in a season in franchise history. I mean, you think about a guy who came in, who can score on all 3 levels, who's asked to take on. He talked about it. I think it was the same article you were talking about, Gavin, where he talked about being in a new role, being relegated to just a 3-point shooter. I mean, he's hosting up 7.7 3-pointers a game, which is more than he's ever done. Yes, Erin?
Back to Captain Tibbs and his bad decisions. Yes.
In what sense?
Just like if we're saying, if we know that Randle's chucking and we know that everyone is playing not really the positions they're supposed to be in, and he's saying I'm being relegated to a 3-point shooter when that's not really what he's good at, again, who's responsible for all of these things?
But you got to do what's best for the team. So that's always...
Whatever's going on now is not what's best for the team.
Yeah, we're definitely losing. I think there's a lot that goes into it. And I agree. I think we can use Fournier in different ways. I think Fournier can do different things for us. But how? With Randle and RJ dominating the ball, Gavin?
I was going to say one thing that, and it doesn't help because Randle almost has that James Harden, the big knock against James Harden a few years ago, when he doesn't have the ball, he's just kind of standing still. If you look at the teams when Fournier was in Boston and when he was with Orlando, those teams play with a lot of movement off the ball. And when you have Randle who's solely staying on one side of the court and not moving, you don't have a chance to run off, backdoor screens. You can't really go to the other side of the court because now you're flooding one side of the court. So he's somebody that he does what, and he's done this very well in the latter half of the season, is coming off those pin down screens, coming off curls and things like that. So, and it's kind of just that's when it's like one of those things. What do you want him to do? If there's no movement anywhere on the court, I mean, he can't really go anywhere. He's somebody who's always built, and that's how most Europeans play the game. Though they play with a lot of off ball movement. But I mean, here's the thing. Would you rather have Fournier starting or coming off the bench?
Starting.
I don't see him. He's so slow. To me, that starting unit is slow, and he fits with them.
Change anything. I'm willing to change anything right now because what we're doing isn't working. We pull 2 games, we lose 5. It's whatever we've been doing has not been working. This all goes back to Tibbs. This all goes back to all the coaches that we lost that maybe had a better handle on what was going on, and we're just pushing, him around. Who knows? I don't know, but I know this isn't working, and our fan base is beyond frustrated, and the players look frustrated too. And you even hear it in Fournier's comments, his little comments in the post game. He's a little shady. I get it. If I was him, I'd be shady too. If you had been more successful than you have before in the teams, and now you're here in the biggest market in the world, and now you're not as successful, and there's a lot more pressure here, I'd be shady too. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many other internal things that are going on that we're just not seeing, but it's affecting play, and it's getting real ugly. Last night was real ugly. I almost thought we were going to win, and once again, I was crushed by.
Yeah, but listen, Utah is a better team.
Agreed, but how many other teams have we beat that have been better teams?
That's true. But Utah did what we didn't do. They have a player that can consistently make shots down the stretch to extend a lead, and we don't have that.
Not one.
We don't have it. Now, but I agree with you. We have beaten teams that were better than us, and we were definitely in that game. And like we said, brought it to 4 with under 4 minutes to go.
Even
then Donovan Mitchell did Donovan Mitchell things.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, it's like there's so many teams that, again, yeah, it got bad at the end, but we had lost games by like 2, 3, 1, under 5-point games. So we hung all the way in. So there's some common denominator there. And that denominator is Tibbs. And
that denominator is that we can't close.
No, it is an over-reliance on bad decisions and coaching.
You can say that too. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But down the stretch, you got to hit free throws. That has nothing to do with Tibbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down the stretch, you got to hit shots. That has nothing to do with Tibbs. Down the stretch, you have to get stops. That has nothing to do with Tibbs. So there's enough blame.
He's a defensive coach. He's a defensive coach, so he's supposed to be able to. You know what I'm saying?
To do what?
He's supposed. Listen,
I mean, he'll let you know what the schemes are, but he can't get out there
and that's what I was saying. He can't get out there and make you perform and make you make a shot or make you get a stop. Especially on the defensive side, that comes to pure effort and a little bit of IQ and communication. And he, like you said, we can game plan and scout all day long. If I choose not to go out there and get over the screen or communicate somewhere, that's not like. And then the only thing that kids can do is pull you out. But then it's one of those things that is pulling him the best thing for the team. And like I said, I don't have the answer because I'm not the coach. That's a Tibbs thing. But execution, you said, he can say, Randle, don't shoot. If Randle goes out there and so decides to shoot, that's a Julius Randle decision. I can't control that. And so I think that's a lot of things that we've done is, yes, Tibbs has made poor decisions this season, but there is also accountability on the player side to go out there and execute.
Okay.
Yeah, and look at the Washington game. They cut it within 3. RJ got that rebound. RJ got fouled. RJ hit 2 free throws, and then played good defense on Caldwell Pope to force him into a tough shot. We won the game. That's execution, down the stretch. Not something we've been doing. But let me ask you another question before we move on to the next segment. Because we've lost games by 2, 3, 4 points, and we've had 20-point leads against very good teams, does that give you hope that with just a tinkle, what is it, a tinkle? A trinkle, whatever, just a little change here or there,
a tweak.
There it is. With just a tweak here and there, that in the off season, that we might be okay? Or do you think we need major changes? Because when I see us get a 20-point lead or 25-point lead or whatever, I'm like, we just got to learn how to close. It may not be such of a talent issue. Aaron and then Gavin.
Listen, there's no tweak. The tweak is get rid of Randle. That's it. That's my tweak. Get rid of Randle. I'm tired of trying to defend him and protect him. There's just certain things that don't work on a team anymore. And once the chemistry is gone, that you can't just keep putting Band-Aids on things and thinking it's going to heal a wound. And I think this wound is too deep. And I think the tweak that would change this team is, again, I need vets on the team, okay? Because vets are, that's why I love Derrick Rose. I never want to get rid of Derrick Rose. I never want to get rid of Taj. Even if they don't want to play anymore, be coaches on the sideline and just help the kids learn. But what you can't have is somebody on the team that doesn't want to be there, and that affects so much of the other things. And I don't care how many points or how many rebounds he gets. If you're a whatever hole, and you treat people bad and you treat your fans bad. Also, when you do this to your fans, it's not really fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many things that he did wrong. That's the major tweak that needs to happen. I want my young guys. They'll find their own footing, and they will only be able to do that once they're allowed to do that. That's all.
All right. Let me just get to the caller, and then Gavin, I'll get to you. Hold on to the question because I may forget. Caller, you're on the air. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good Queen, salute to you, Knicks
Salute.
fan, the chat, and all the the panel, everybody on there. This is AJ from Brooklyn.
AJ,
I'm the guy
appreciate
who's
you.
been saying all year that Fournier is the right guy. The Knicks management did the right move. When you look at the way we ended last year, the way we lost to the Atlanta Hawks, we didn't lose because we didn't have good defense. So we lost because we didn't have a sniper. Fournier is that sniper. Any championships team have a guy like Fournier. Go back the last 25 years. They all have a guy like Fournier. That was the right move. They didn't bring him here to be a defensive stopper. Even though he's playing, his defense is not as bad as it seems, but they brought him here to do exactly what he's doing. Management's going to look at this at the end of the year. They're going to be like, this guy, he was the right move. Is he getting paid too much? I don't know. That's relative. John Wall is getting paid $40 million to sit on the bench. All right. When you look at that, is Fournier getting paid too much? Look at Westbrook. When you compare him to Fournier, is Fournier really getting paid too much? You know what I'm saying? He's doing exactly what they brought him here to do. I see people on the chat talking about, oh, he's taking minutes away from Grimes. Listen, no coach would not take Fournier because they have a rookie named Quentin Grimes. They have no idea what they're going to get out of Quentin Grimes. This is not how they run basketball teams. No team would ever do that. Pass on Fournier because they want to give minutes to Grimes. That never happened. No team would ever do that.
But let me ask you a question. At having seen Fournier most of the season, having seen Grimes, at this point going forward, who would you start and why?
Oh, I'm on the fence about this. But like you said, having seen Grimes, right? Last summer, they didn't see Grimes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta judge this on you got to go back to last summer. Now we've seen Grimes. I really like Grimes. I would probably start him, and the reason why I would start him, not because I think he's better than Fournier, because he's a better defensive player. But right now, Fournier is a much better shooter than he is, I think. Okay, I mean, listen, not just I think, the statistics will tell you that. But the other thing is, I think it's better to have a better defensive players in the starting lineup to start the game right. And Fournier coming off the bench, I mean, he would average 25 points easily because the thought is he's playing against less quality players if he's coming off the bench. If he's doing 17 now, playing against other teams' bench, he would score 25 easily. So that would probably work out better for us.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
yes.
Yeah, but he wasn't. We're known. Knicks fans, we're known. We know the game. That's what they always say. We know the game. Right now, we sounded like we don't know the game. Trade him. Yeah, trade. Like during the trade deadline, everybody was saying, "Oh, trade him. Trade it. Let's sell high." Well, you want to trade him when he's playing well. Let's sell high. When somebody's not playing well, you want to trade him. When do we keep a guy? We have to keep a guy at some point. This is the point we keep a guy. Like I said, go back the past 25, 30 years, every championship team has a guy like Fournier, every one of them. And we could look back.
And last question, caller, before I let you go.
Sure.
You've seen Fournier play before he got to the Knicks, I'm sure. Do you think he can do more? Do you think we're taking advantage of all he can do?
Absolutely. But I don't think, I mean, listen, Fournier, people say, a lot of people, I see this on the chat, right? It hasn't worked out. It has worked out. But you gotta, it's a team sport. There's an environment. Like a lot of things changes. First of all, the chemistry, you're not gonna just throw him in there and the chemistry is gonna work out. Okay? It takes time to build chemistry. That's number one. Number two, Julius Randle is not playing the way he played last year. If insert Fournier in last year's team, it'd be an explosion of points. Like, we wouldn't lose to the Atlanta Hawks. Julius Randle is not doing his end of the bargain.
No.
We don't have a defensive point guard like Alfred Payton. Actually, we have one. We just don't use him. You have Alec Burks playing. I mean, there's a lot of factors to get in there that will make you think that Fournier hasn't worked. It has worked, but you got to look at all the other elements that's making it seem like it doesn't work. We have a small forward or a shooting guard, small forward playing point guard every night. I mean, the coach, he continues to do this, and we continue to lose because he's doing this. Now, we have Emmanuel Quickly could play the point much better than Alec Burks. So I have no idea why Tom Thibodeau continues to start Alec Burks. It just makes no sense. But, so you don't have a point guard. You don't have a good defensive player at the point of attack. There's a lot of factors that goes into this. So we need to see
where we are.
And not just him, but we need to see all the other players in a better environment. This could be why Julius Randle is not playing well, because we don't really have a point guard. That could be the reason also. I don't know.
All right. Thank you, caller. AJ, appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All righty.
And thank you all.
All right. You're welcome. Call back. And shout out to Ron Cleveland, man, who's in the building. Ron, you got to come on the show. And to my brother, Devon, who I don't know if he's still here, but I know he stopped by. Appreciate you and everybody else who's rocking with us today. Gavin, just your thoughts on that question, which I forgot, and I asked you to remember, so hopefully you did.
I was, as the call was finishing, I was like, dang, what question did Steph ask? So you're talking about
something about
the tweak for next year.
Oh, right. Do you think because of the way we played, do we just need a tweak or a major hole? Oh, thank you.
One thing, like RJ said, you don't get 20-point leads by playing bad basketball. I don't think that the Knicks this latter half of the season have played bad basketball. We just can't find a way to hold games, and we just don't have a closer. I think part of the thing with not being able to close out games is I've taken a lot more notice of this, especially now being able to see the games in the Garden, is when it comes down to we need to go get some points or to claw us back in, it seems now, and I don't know if this is because his confidence is shot because of the fans, but Randle does not seem to want the ball at all. Unless he gets to bring the ball up and he gets to orchestrate the offense or just come down and jack up a bad shot. I think one of our biggest problems this year is when we get a lead is we don't know how to keep the foot on the gas. Like, we build these leads and we get very comfortable. Most of our leads that we get come because we have great ball movement going on. Once we get these leads, and I've noticed once the third quarter stops, the ball movement stops, off-ball movement stops. We go into a lot of ISO ball. And so I think that this team just needs to learn how to play a consistent style of basketball for 48 minutes and learn how to not get comfortable and learn how to keep, Memphis does a great job. When they have their foot on the gas, they go even harder. Like, they're not pulling up, letting you get back into these games. And I think there's also just one thing that I said, even if we kept the same team that we this year and we bring them back next year, I said, we need a dog. Like, RJ has it mentally, but like an extroverted dog. Somebody who is like MSG New York Knicks basketball. Somebody like a Jimmy Butler, a PJ Tucker, a Pat Beverly. Just somebody who's not standing, who's just not gonna, bow down. And that's one thing that I think the Knicks don't have, is they don't have that dog that'll really get down in the trenches and keep it going. And I think there was just a combination this year, people being out because of COVID protocol, in the middle of the season, not having consistent lineups. We had a stretch where we were playing with like a 7-man rotation because people were out. I think that has a lot to do with it. So that never really gave people a chance to build the continuity. That's where you saw Alec Burks' role change up. You know, he went from coming off the bench and running with the second unit to now he's forced to be a starter because that's who Tibbs trusts him, you know, the starting unit with the most. Something that the caller just said, both for Fournier and IQ. Fournier's productivity probably does go up with the second unit because he, in theory, if you think about playing against, less competition, in theory, you should be better. Now, I'll say the thing is that second unit, like you said, Steph, is they like to run. Fournier is more of somebody who likes to run in the half court, but he is not great with an up-tempo style of play, full court basketball. And one thing that I've noticed is on the breaks is he doesn't tend to run the lanes very well. And so that's something, if you pull him out of the starting lineup, now you're plugging him into a lineup where it's not his pace of play of basketball. Now, if you put Grimes in, you're putting him into a starting unit that, like you said, has a very slow pace. So I think that the two units work very well in their respective facts. So I think the tweak is they need somebody who will be able to get in here mentally and keep this team together. I hate the fact that it's sad that we are counting on Derrick Rose to be our Lord and Savior at the point where he is in the season. Like, to me, that is a big red flag that we're counting on Derrick Rose. And I think that next year, when you have some continuity and you don't have lineups being mixed up every single game because of COVID and things, I think that you'll have, a lot more opportunity to have units stay together. And then you're not playing as much positionless basketball. And that's why we have Alec Burks in there. But like I said, and I think people forget that having this COVID year and having all these health and safety protocols doesn't add and help our cause in any way, because before that, we were playing good basketball. You know, when we first started off the season, before people were going out, we were playing good basketball, and it wasn't until people started going out that's when things really started to change. And I think that that's why we're starting to play better in the second half of the season, is because you're having the first unit is staying the first unit, the second unit is staying the second unit. And I think it's just about being comfortable with each other. And like Fournier said, these guys are starting to know where I am on the floor and I can stay in a certain role. So I'm kind of just chopping this year up. And I think that next year we have better luck when we have some continuity and consistency.
Okay. Let me read the super chat, and then we got a caller on the line. Shout out to Andrew Nash. Appreciate you. Appreciate the super chat. Tibbs subs in the wrong players at the wrong times. Like yesterday, the team had momentum and he put the starters in, and that's when Utah blew it open. I think that's what Aaron was talking about earlier in the show. But let's get to this caller. Somebody that inspired me, actually, and I know we remember him. He had his own channel for a while. I miss him. Caller, tell the people who you are and how you been.
Man. What's going on, Queen Stephanie?
I'm good. I miss you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Even though we're having a bad season, I can't complain. I'm doing good. You know what I mean? Man, it's good to watch you from the shadows. You know, you're still doing your thing. You know, you're very knowledgeable. Shout out to everybody on the panel as well. You know, I don't want to be disrespectful coming in the house and I ain't washing my hands before I go to the dinner table. So before I get into this thing, man, you know, there's so many places to go. But the question about, you know, with Evan Fournier, Evan Fournier is a keeper. The problem is this team is nowhere close to contending. And, you know, I posed this question the other day to some guys we were talking. Matter of fact, me and the guy Soulfinger was talking, and I said, you know, when you look at this Knicks team, we are clearly in stage one of a rebuild. And the reason why I say that, even though we know we've had Tibbs now going into the third year next year. The reason why I say we are clearly in stage one, because when you're in stage one of a rebuild, that's normally when your coach is trying to establish an identity. We had an identity last year. It was defense. This year, we don't have an identity. We don't know if we want to be an offensive team. We don't know if we want to be a defensive team. So because of that, and the standings actually shows you that we are a team that's in stage one of the rebuild, because we 11th or 12th seed in the East.
12.
And one could make the argument, Steph, that the Knicks is the worst team in the East, if not the whole league. You know, I don't get fooled with what we've seen for 3 games that we won. You know, and
Right.
then we went back to doing what this team have done all season. And you know, I heard the caller. You know, somebody said that, you know, the Knicks was playing good ball. The only time the Knicks played good ball was the first 6 games of the season, when we was 5-1. After that, the wheels fell off. This team, from what I'm seeing, this is the most selfish basketball team I've ever watched as a Knicks fan. And I'll tell you this too. This team as a whole, the problem is that you got a bunch of role players being asked to play as a starter. And that's what it comes down to. The guy you paying all the money to, Julius Randle, you don't know what he's going to do from night to night. But the one thing that's apparent about Julius Randle, and the reason why I'm a proponent for him being moved, is not the 20, 10, and 5 that he gets you. Because you look at that stat, you're like, man, that's great. But the problem is, when he's in the Garden, it's constant meltdowns. The guy does not play good in the Garden. Ever since the fans came back, let's face it, this guy has not played good, and he's actually reverted back to year one under Fizdale. This is the Julius Randle that I'm looking at. I'm seeing the one that we had with Fizdale, playing selfishly and just turning the ball over. And it's just really sad to watch. Tom Thibodeau is a problem, too. I'm all for continuity, but this is my problem, Steph. Now, answer this, and I posed this question this morning. I was talking to guys on Freezy Show. When this is the craziest thing by this front office, to come out and say Tom Thibodeau is coming back next year. How can you make that decision right now? Don't teams have an end of the season review where they bring the players and coaches in and they talk about their performance and whether or not we're gonna keep you around and stuff of that nature? Don't they do that stuff?
Yes.
So what have we seen from Tom Thibodeau that make them feel like they can make that decision to say, oh, we're going to bring him back? Because up until them those 3 games that we won, everybody was pretty much writing Tom Thibodeau up out of here on the first thing smoking.
Well, and
it wasn't until after the 3 games that we won that they started talking about we're going to keep him.
Can I give my take on it?
Go ahead.
What I think it is that the front office is realizing that it's more than Tibbs. That's where we are right now. If you think about it, Tibbs this year is not doing anything he didn't do last year. He leaned heavily on the vets.
Absolutely.
And he wasn't that great at in-game adjustments. We saw that in the Atlanta season series.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not doing anything different than he's always done. I think they're looking at the injuries, Rose, Noel not being there, Randle underperforming, Kemba not working out, not having a point guard. And maybe they're thinking that this guy can't be the fall guy when so many things has gone wrong. Let's bring him back. Let's shore up this roster. Let's bring him back for 1 more year, and let's see what he can do. He had 1 great year, 1 bad year. Let's see what he can do in the 3rd year. That's what I'm thinking that they're doing. Because when you think about it, the front office their hand is in the mess too now.
Oh, hey, I was getting ready to go right there right after you stop. I got some for them too, Stephanie, but go ahead. I'm going to say mine. Go ahead.
No. That's it. I'm just saying that's what I think they may be thinking.
Okay. So I got a phrase I've coined. Matter of fact, I need to go patent it or trademark it. Front office malpractice. The front office for the New York Knicks, for one, was not qualified to run a front office. The only guy that was qualified in that front office, Scott Perry, He has the lowest voice in the building. That's the guy who told him to go get DeMar DeRozan. That's the guy who told him to go get Lonzo Ball. They didn't get neither one. We all know we need a closer, and I agree with someone just said the thing about Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose don't need to be on this team another day, and it's not because of his talent. When he's available, he's awesome. But the problem is that Derrick's point in his career doesn't fit the timeline with this team. Derrick Rose is somebody I would love to see get a ring. Do Derrick Rose a favor and get him somewhere where he can go get a ring. Don't have him have to suffer with this team because this team ain't nowhere close. But that front office, when I say front office malpractice, they hired Tom Thibodeau. So they're culpable in this. And I said, they were not qualified. The guy had no experience running the front office as an agent, but not as a team president. He should have never had that job. And I'm going to tell you, Steph, I gave him a benefit of the doubt. I said, year one, I'm not going to say nothing after I saw how free agency went year one. But year two, I'm seeing the same trend from this front office. And this is the key. So you bring Tom Thibodeau on this team. If you bring Tom here, you already know the type of coach Tom is. When this team was clearly in a rebuild phase and you had everything at your disposal to make this team better, but you brought a coach in here that you know is in a win-now mode, they didn't give him the right players to play with. So I can't put it all on Tom. That's why I'm going to tell you what I feel going to happen. Because remember the article came out that says, Dolan, because your boy Worldwide Mess went up there and cried to Dolan and started pointing the finger at Tom Thibodeau, Dolan said he gave them the green light to either fire or keep Thibodeau. Well, guess what that tells me? If the owner telling you can fire or keep him, the owner already got his opinions about the situation. And I'm telling you what I think is going to happen. Leon Rose is going to allow Tom Thibodeau to get himself fired, and both of them guys are going to be on the first thing smoking up out of here. Sometimes it ain't always good to do business with friends.
So, Ron, real quick, I have a question, and this is something that I also asked other Knicks fans, is with us being in the stage of the rebuild and trying to build that identity and some consistency, at what point do we stop experimenting with coaches every year? Because you can't have a successful rebuild when there's a new philosophy and a new coach in and out the door every single year. So at what point do we stop experimenting?
You got to stop experimenting when you go with the wave of the league. You can't try to go back and try to rehash stuff that was done in the 90s, and that's what this organization have done. We've tried this before. This Tom Thibodeau thing ain't new. We tried to go get these old coaches, Lenny Wilkins and others. We've done this. Go for the big name, the splashy name. What they need to do is go and get a guy that's hungry, a guy that's paid dues. Go get somebody that's innovative with this new age of basketball that can relate. Because I'm telling you right now, who do you know want to come play for the Knicks with Tom Thibodeau and what he does and what he's known for doing? Running players in the ground.
Most people don't want to come play for the Knicks.
Right. But we've done that too. We've got young coaches as well. We got
Johnny Bryant.
Fisher. Well, Johnny Bryant too. But I'm saying we've gone young too. We've gotten Fisher. We've gotten Fizdale. We've got Hornacek. No coach has really been successful here since Van Gundy. Oh, Woodson had a 50 win season. For me, I think the coach is important. You got to get players in here that know how to play. And that's just the bottom line. The Knicks don't have anybody on this team you can count on game in and game out, except for RJ right now, who's still growing.
Absolutely. I agree. And the biggest problem is watching this Knicks program as long as I've been watching it, since the days of Patrick Ewing. The problem with this team is the front office and the coaching staff has never been in lockstep throughout the whole time. It's never happened. And I was under the assumption because Leon Rose, when he got his guy, that he was going to get the guys that Tom needs. But it's clear that they're not on the same sheet of music. It's clear. And so Therein lies your problem. When your front office and your coach is not on the same sheet of music, that's going to cause a problem. That's a bad marriage. And right now it's time for the Knicks to go in a direction where they make sure that they get. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, my biggest hope, and this is a hope, this is a dream. I hope and dream that the New York Knicks find a way to go call OKC and give draft picks to go get Sam Presti. Go get somebody in here who ain't afraid to make moves and know how to build a team. Because Leon Rose, I don't have no confidence. Hey, Steph, y'all answer this question. Now, we know the Knicks' biggest problem has been a point guard forever. This guy in 2 seasons haven't gotten us a point guard yet. Do you trust and believe this guy's going to get us a point guard in the draft?
No.
Because I ain't sure.
No. Well, even if they get us one in the draft, I don't think he's going to be ready to start from day one. We still need a point guard. And it's funny you say that. I should have made this a slide. These are the starting Knicks point guards. In 2010, Raymond Felton. 2011, Mike Bibby. 2012, Jason Kidd, 39 years old. 2013, Raymond Felton. 2014 and 2015, Jose Calderon. 2016, Derrick Rose. 2017, Raymond Sessions. The next year, Trey Burke. 2019, Dennis Smith. And 2020, Elfrid Payton. And then this year, Kemba Walker. We have not, this went all the way back to 2010. You could argue that Raymond Felton was the best of the bunch. Now, this is starting lineup stuff. This is starting the season. You can argue that Jason Kidd at 39 years old, Raymond Felton was the best of the bunch.
Yeah. And the last thing I'm gonna say, because I know you got other people trying to call in. You know, another thing I was sitting down thinking about. We talk about closer, right? You know, the last time the Knicks actually signed a closer.
No, when was that?
You know it, Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah. That's
the last time we had a closer on this team.
Yep.
So therein lies your problem. You don't have a point guard, and you don't have a closer. So it ain't surprising that this team is struggling the way it is. And also to go along with your coaching got to be smart too. And Tom gets in his own way too much for me, man. And I can't continue to support that. I can't support him, man. He has to go. Leon Rose, they need to clean house, really. And I'll be happy.
We just clean house, though. We just clean. Anyway, Ron, you got to come on the show.
All right, so I'll make it a point to come on one day, and I'll let you know when I'm in the building. But I'll definitely come in.
Please do. I appreciate you. All right. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
All right. See you next time.
All right.
Let's move on real quick to the play of the week. Quick thoughts on next. Is it in? Let me see. Oh, there it is. Play of the week is IQ, 16.3 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, shot 47.6% from the field, 55.6% from three, 85.7% from the free throw line, and he did this in only 25 minutes per game. IQ, Emmanuel, quickly, the Thrive Fantasy Play of the Week. If you haven't already, go to thrivefantasy.com or download the app. Use code MBK, get 100% deposit match up to $100. Any quick thoughts on quickly and his play this week before we move on to next week games and get out of here?
Go ahead, you go first, son.
Oh, wait. Before I forget. Before I forget, let me read the super chat. You know my memory. You know how I am. All right. Andrew Nash, shout out. He said 2. All right. Tibbs subs. Oh, we did that one, right? Yeah, we did that one. But he sent another one. We're not counting on Rose as the savior. We're counting on him to just fill the void that has been missing so everyone else can fall back into place. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. If he's back in that second, but we still need somebody in the first unit. That's what's going to take Burks out of that first unit and put him back into his role. I don't really see the sense of roles returning at this point. I don't. But anyway, any thoughts? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, Andrew Nash. Gavin, thoughts on IQ?
Yeah, I just think that he's it seems now like the game is slowed down for him. He looks like he's just a lot more in control. Looks like he's thinking things through a lot more. And I think I like his shot selection a lot more. He doesn't seem to be out there just jacking up from three like he was previously. And the one thing that I've been begging for him to do all season is find a way to get to the line more. And he's done that. This was the first time I've ever seen IQ miss 2 free throws in a row last night, and I was shocked. But I think that he's really starting to grow into the point guard, and learn how to actually play that point guard role, coming from somebody who was strictly a scorer, and now finding a way to hone that in. And like this week, he's just been very efficient with the minutes that he's gotten, and the shot selection has gotten a lot better. And his defense has gotten tremendously better these last couple games. It got better since the All-Star break, but I would say that it's really turned up even another notch in this home stretch. So I think it's just something that he's finally just starting to settle down and starting to just come into that role a little more. And I think the biggest thing for him is just if he can know when to turn it on, when to turn it off, and just find a consistent pace. I think IQ is going to be fine. And just keeping that aggressive mentality, keeping it controlled and honed in, I think is going to be a big thing for him. So I have no complaints with IQ's play this week, and hopefully it's something positive that'll be consistent going into next season, and hopefully that's what we get from him night in and night out.
Right. Before Aaron goes, just to add to what you're saying, he went to the line 9.3 times per game this week. That's a lot, almost 10 times a game. That's great. And then hopefully I don't forget, I want to read the Fournier poll. Actually, let me read the Fournier poll now. Sorry, Aaron.
No, don't
This
worry.
is my condition. I got to do it now. Should the Knicks move on from Evan Fournier? Wow, it's kind of close. I thought it would be, more for moving on from him. But 37% says yes, we should move on from him. 42% says no, we should not move on from him. And 21% are still undecided. But I thought it would be an overwhelming yes. So, okay, Fournier, you got some support in the in the fan base. But go ahead, Aaron. Your thoughts, quick thoughts on IQ this week?
All right, I will keep it quick also because I have to get out of here. It is my man's birthday and he's sleeping. I'm trying to cut him a cake. So listen, quickly, I agree with all your points, Gavin. He has calmed it down a lot. He's less frenetic. Before, I used to feel like he never knew when he was going to get in the game. So he was so excited and so full of energy, he was making all these bad decisions. But now he's realized that, you know what? He's got a little more confidence in himself. He's choosing his shots better. He's pacing the floor. And you see a different player. You see more of what you saw last year. Yeah, he's still a little frenetic and crazy. He still takes some bad shots. But he is getting to the line, which is something he's never been able to do. So he is growing as a player. You know what I'm saying? And that's really nice to see. Like I said, we're not where we need to be right now with these guys, but they're getting there. And as long as they're making small increments of movement, not as fast as we may want, but they're still moving in the right direction, not progressing. I'm happy.
All right. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for coming through. I love your energy. I love your takes. You are welcome anytime. And don't get upset with me when I bug you with the DMs about.
I just listen. Like I said, I'm a grandma, so on the weekends I'm busy with grandma stuff, and during the week it's the only time I get with him. And so it's I got to make time for everybody. But I told him today, I was like, I need to go on and talk about Randle.
Okay.
I need
yes, yes.
Knicks out.
Yeah. All right. So when I'm bothering you, don't feel pressured. If you can make it, make it. If you can't, you can't.
First of all, it is Knicks family. There's never a bother. This is our community. This is our family. This is what we do. We support each other. And I love supporting women who are talking about the Knicks. So that's all it is. Thank you as always, for having me on.
Of course.
Gavin,
Appreciate you.
Fantastic.
All right. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a blessed and be safe.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing I will say about IQ, and you heard it here first, I think IQ, if he's still with the Knicks, because I think him and Cam, fam, let me know if you agree. I think him and Cam may have the most trade value over the summer. I could be wrong. But if he's here next year, he's my breakout player on the team, IQ, next season. You heard it here first. I just think he wasn't able to grow into the role he had last year because it changed. And they had him, playing the point guards. Next year, when he's able to put it all together, he's going to be a terror. Right?
And I never thought that I would see quickly come to this point. I was somebody who early in the season, I was like, I don't know if he'll go into that point guard role. And one, kind of like what Aaron said, at the beginning of the year, he just looked like a chicken running around with his head cut off. Like, he was just so excited to be out there that it kind of felt like he forgot that, you're playing in an NBA ball game. This isn't just pickup basketball where we can go out here and jack up shots. But I respect the fact that he's not afraid of the moment. He's not afraid to take the shots. And he's somebody who is big. He's a big momentum player. But I would say he did great this stretch, and I think that we're starting to see him come into his own. And like you said, I think that based on what I've seen these last 2 weeks, and especially this home stretch, I hope that IQ is still here next year. Because I think just that efficiency and the better shot selection, I think, just plays into his game a lot better, and is better overall for the team. So props to him, and I'm happy that he's finally kind of coming into his own and figuring out, how to manage that role.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's move on to next week's games. Well, I just want to shout out the chat. Some people are still not with IQ. Hawkeye, time to trade IQ. Old head Knicks fans have no patience with our youngster. It's called development. A lot of the fan base wants the Knicks to go young. This is what happens when you go young. You're going to have players that's up and down. So we don't have any patience with quickly. What is it going to be next year with Grimes and Cam and RJ, who still may be going through some growing pains? Hopefully not. Seems like he's gotten over the hump. So if we say we want to go young, this is it. Quickly, up and down. Grimes might be up and down. Cam might be up and down. So be careful what you ask for. Shout out to Geraldine McGyver, always rocking with us. Hawkeye, Kevin Bergen, May 4th, Knicks Real Talk. Appreciate you, brother. Andrew, you know what I'm talking about. Andrew K, appreciate you. Sanga Waldron, appreciate you. Mega BK New York, appreciate you. Funky Goose World. All Keith Turner, Jay from Washington Heights, Mike Boy, I appreciate all of you from rocking with us. All right, next week we play Atlanta Tuesday. This week, really. Atlanta Tuesday. They're in 10th spot. This is who the Knicks are chasing, but they're 5 games behind. We beat them 3 times this season. We played them 3 times. We beat them all 3 times. They're 3rd in offensive rating, 27th in defense. Then we play Charlotte on Wednesday, who's 9th in the Eastern Conference. We lost to them twice, 7th in offensive rating, 23rd in defensive rating. Then we got Miami. These are tough games. We got Miami on Friday, who's the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, 7-3 over their last 10. We lost to them twice already. 11th in offensive rating, 5th in defensive rating. And then Detroit Sunday, who's 14th in the Eastern Conference. We beat them twice, 28th in offensive rating, 25th in defensive rating. Anything about this week that sticks out for you, Gavin? Any predictions? Oh, and I should say the Knicks are 24th in offensive rating and defensive rating. The Knicks are up to 13.
Yeah, just looking at the rest of the year ahead is it's looking less and less promising for that playing game. Just looking at the schedule that we have going forward, but really, I think I'm just looking to really just continue the momentum that we've built up since the All-Star break. Tomorrow's my last game in the Garden, so hopefully, I'm excited to see what the energy is like tomorrow. I know it'll be a packed crowd for the Atlanta game, but I think that we just need to continue to compete. I want the Atlanta game, and then I'm interested to see how we play, against Miami this year. First time we got run out of Miami. Second time we were almost there, and then the game, slipped away from us. So I'm just hoping to see some, just keeping it all together for 48 minutes. And I'm interested really just to see, what if he is coming back to play these games, what Julius Randle is going to look like this week, and how that chemistry on the court with him and RJ continues to build. So I think hopefully we take the Atlanta game. Honestly, I think that we should be 3-1 this week probably, and like I said, we played Miami close, so there is a potential to go 4-0 if, like I said, we play a solid 48 minutes. But I think that we go 3-1 this week.
Yeah, I mean, good call. I see 3-1 as well. I think the Knicks are playing better. But listen, Atlanta has something to play for, right? I don't think they're comfortable with a 5-game lead on the Knicks, right? So they're definitely, they're 6-4 over their last 10. So they're going to come in ready. Charlotte is on a roll. They won 4 in a row, 6-4 over their last 10. And Sim always say, and I agree with him, we don't match up that well with, with Charlotte. Miami, the only thing I'll say about Miami is that Butler is in and out. But they've had so many injuries this season that Struss and these other guys have gotten used to playing in Butler's absence, So when Miami started the season, I said, wow, their bench is so thin. But because of the injuries, they've actually had to grow their bench because they've had so much playing time. And then Detroit is Detroit. If the Knicks lose to Detroit, I can't. I can't. So the Knicks can go 3-1. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think those Atlanta and Charlotte games are going to be tough. I don't think those two teams are going to lay down at all for the Knicks or feel comfortable that they got a 5-game lead. They're going to come into play. All right. Any last words before we get out of here? Do we have
crazy
hold
thing
on?
Is, I think we have a caller.
All right, hold on. Yeah, I was just seeing that. All right. Caller, you on the air? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Salute Queen. What up, Gavin? Peace and love. This is Big Ash. You see me as Ashley 81 on the chat.
Okay, how are you?
Man,
What up?
I mean, love your show, love your knowledge. Queen, man, you're dropping it all the time. Don't always agree with you, but most of the time I do. I'm going to do my first.
We agree to disagree, right?
Absolutely. I'm a yard man from Jamaica. Grew up in Brooklyn. When I'm in LA right now, trying hard not to become a Lakers fan, especially since they're losing. Trying hard to keep my Knicks.
You can stay here for the losing.
Yeah. If you were winning, though, I'm a LeBron fan. That's why I'm a Lakers fan, also because of LeBron. But I'm trying to hold on, Tibbs, though, and Randle, get it to me, man. Dolan. The roads hurted me. And so my pet peeve right now was, even you slip sometimes and say, we don't have a point guard. We do have a point guard. His name is Miles Deuce McBride.
Come on, he's a rookie. You can't put a rookie.
He's not a starter.
You can't start a rookie.
You have...
And
really?
one of the worst,
Okay,
the hardest positions to learn.
I know he's not ready completely, but compared to Burks, he's
not better than Burks.
Trying to relearn the position, you got to give him some minutes. I'm not saying that he's going to start right now. But
I agree with that. I agree with him getting minutes.
Right. And then let's see what he can do. I mean, have you seen his history? Have you seen his college play? I mean, I know college is not the same thing, but 40+% three-pointer all levels. Hardcore. Former quarterback drives down the middle with fearlessly. No fearless three-point shot at all times. Handle, pass, and he's got the tools. Everyone's like second-round pick. I'm like, last year was an off year. It's an outlier year for people. His second-round position would have been like top 20 most of the years. But I mean, I named all the second rounders who've been maybe made an NBA, guys like, Jokic, I don't know, Draymond, 40-something picks.
But it
years,
took them some time though. They weren't those players in their first year, right?
I understand. That's why you build them, but you don't eliminate him as an option. I mean, I keep hearing we need a point. Well, we have a point. We got to build them, and so no one's building that check, man. I think he's getting.
But I think they are. He's building in practice. He's building in the G League. I think he's building, which is why when they come in, they're able to play the way they are.
My first year, actually, freshman year in college, coach had me. I did JV a little bit. He was like, I know you're good, Frank. I know all that stuff. I played different sport, okay? Football, real football, soccer, and basketball. Man, my first time on the basketball court, drive on the lane, got fouled, left for my foul shot. I've been texting like there was a lights out, Frank. You got to go to the varsity. You got to start right away. I got up there, air ball. Oh, man, a foul shot. I'm like, oh, no way. I lived on the foul line, man. I was a 96% shooter. Second ball, air ball. In-game play is nothing like practice when you feel that pressure. You got to get them some in-game time.
I agree with you, but this is not a playground. This is not, you got to earn it, then you earn it, you get in there. This is not where we're going to put you in there just so you can learn how to be in an NBA game. You know what I mean? So it's a fine line.
What does Burks earn?
Right now, Burks is better than McBride. Come on.
And he's a journeyman vet in the NBA. He's proved that he can play at the NBA level.
Man, that cat, but not a point guard. Obviously not a point guard for the past 50 games. He's not shown me that a point guard. He's an awesome number 2. At the second, a shooting guard, probably even small forward. But at point, man, Burks has just failed. Okay, let's agree with this year on that one. The next one is just Tibbs and subs and even Fournier. I want to keep Fournier, but he should not be defending Kuzma or anybody with 40 seconds left as a defensive need when we're up 8 points. Why is he playing defense in any scenario? Phoenix ending, he was there. Cam should have been in. Last week, Grimes should have been there. Always McBride should have been defending. Fournier has zero. Well, I shouldn't say zero. His defensive skills are a challenge compared to those guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna watch any more games the rest of this year. I'm gonna watch the highlights. I'm gonna listen to your show. I'm gonna.
You better not watch any Lakers games either. If you're not gonna watch the Knicks, you better not watch the Lakers.
I'm not watching them either. Exactly. I'm watching the March Madness. What I'm gonna watch right now.
Okay.
But I'm gonna share for CP3 to get his ring, and that's my rest of my basketball season. Because my heart's broken by these Knicks, man. Because I think they could have done so much more if Tibbs was not the coach. And if Randle, I got to let Randle go. I want Mathurin from Arizona. That's the only kind I want from college outside the top 5. I'm not even thinking about Ivy. So give me that, and then I'm good. And that's all I want to say. I know you got to go, but I got to just say, man, you are the boss. You're a boss, true boss. Green Steph, much love and peace and love.
Much love to you. I appreciate you. Call back and leave them Lakers alone.
I got you.
All right.
Gavin, handle it, man. Hand you to peace.
Peace. All right. Great call. That great activity today. The calls, the chat. I appreciate you. Any last words, Gavin?
I was just gonna say the 1 year that the Eastern Conference is good. We're the 12th seed, whereas if we were in the Western Conference right now, we'd be sitting at the 8th and 9th seed, and we wouldn't be talking about this.
Right. Right.
But no, like I said, I'm still going to rock out with the Knicks. I said the only thing that could make me boycott the Knicks is if they don't re-sign RJ Barrett. That would be the only thing. But other than that, I'm going to rock out with this team, win or lose. And I'm here for it. It's just the ups and downs, but that's where you find out, who the true Knicks fans are. Because if you're still, there's no bandwagoning for this team. But as always, Steph, I appreciate you for having me on. I love coming on here, giving my opinions and, being able to agree to disagree. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you. A great addition to MBK for sure. You're welcome anytime. And my last words is salute to the chat, salute to all the callers, salute to Sim, the MBK fam. If you missed it, I'm starting my channel, which is an extension of what I'm doing here on MBK, Ms. BK Dope Soul Sports Talk. I'll still be doing, what is this? Look at, you see what I'm saying? I'll still be doing Queen's Court. I'll still be doing a crossover co-hosting with Tony Crow. I'll still be a panelist on the shows. I'll still be at the special events. This just gives me an opportunity to do some collaboration, to throw out, you know, different videos here and there. And then also give me the opportunity to put it out when I feel like it. Now put it out when I don't feel like it. Something you can't do on somebody else's channel, right? You got to be consistent. So I appreciate all of you. And I'm out. I'll see you next week.